they say this. Whereas if you are compassionate and if you are relaxed, then the immune system also is not weakened. Therefore, the basic human nature is compassionate, which is very precious. And then the important thing is to educate people, because we have this marvelous intelligence, this brain, whereas the sensorial perceptions regarding smell, sight, sound, and so forth, other animals, like a rabbit, may have more acute auditory perception than us. So with regard to the sensory perceptions, animals may have more acute senses than us, whereas we as human beings have this ability to think more critically, to investigate into the nature of things and so forth. So our brain is better at that than the animals. And then human beings also developed a language, and then the religious traditions also developed because of human beings using our intelligence. So what is important for us is to use this intelligence in order to advance or strengthen our basic human nature, that is compassion. So therefore, everywhere in the world, education is considered very important. So everyone is actually paying attention to educate people, whereas the so-called modern education, the existing modern education, is more directed towards material development. But why are we facing so many difficulties and problems in the world today? Although we talk about peace, it's not achieved because we use this marvelous human mind or intelligence merely for material development and not use it to promote this compassionate nature. So the basic human quality of love and compassion, which is very alive and fresh in our childhood, becomes dormant as we grow up and go through school systems. And therefore I say that and many educationists, also educators and educationists, also say that the current existing school system, educational system, is not adequate. So what we need to do is the education should be used to promote the basic human positive quality of love and compassion. So we have the facility or the condition for that. And so for the Tibetan students, and thanks to the past Tibetan Dharma emperors, the Nalanda monastic university tradition of Buddhism was established in Tibet, and Master Chandarakshita, the great master abbot, was a great scholar himself, and also you can actually witness his scholarship through his writings of Madhyamaka text as well as text on logic and epistemology. So he introduced the Buddhism, the Nalanda tradition in Tibet, and Master Padmasambhava mainly took the responsibility to overcome the obstacles, the resistance to the spread of Buddhism in Tibet. And then the Master Chandarakshita took the main responsibility to translate the texts from Sanskrit into Tibetan, and the Tibetan language was not that rich, but the new words were coined. As the new words were coined while the translations were undertaken, you can actually see in the translations, Tibetan translations of the Indian text, that there is mention of the translator and the so Master Jnanadevan, so Pandapadzik and Jnanadeva, the Indian master, and the Tibetan translator Pandapadzik translated this book, the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, and then later it was also translated by Shakyavotu. So in the colophon it says, this concludes the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, composed by Shantideva and so forth, and it was translated from the Sanskrit and Tibetan and edited and settled upon by the Kashmiri edition, from the Kashmiri edition by the Indian scholar Sarva Yadeva and the editor-translator Mang Pelsek.